All right, UFC Freedom 250 is happening this weekend, and these are my predictions for the card. Starting off with Diego Lopez versus Steve Garcia. This is going to be a banger. I think this is going to be a very entertaining first round. I don't think it goes past the first round. Both these guys have that kind of brawling style, but I personally believe Diego Lopez is the better brawler. I think, this guy, his chin is the next level, and he hits so hard. He's dangerous in the clinch. He's dangerous from range. Got decent kicks. Volkanovski did kind of expose that he lands with his feet very often. So if you can check him, I think he broke both of his feet in the second fight with Volk. So there's something there, but he's really solid in the grappling. In that fight with Jean Silva, took him down early and just kind of beat the fuck out of him. And even when Jean Silva got up, he got up and he was landing on Diego Lopez, landing really good on Diego Lopez, but his chin is just so good. He was landing front kicks on the chin, nothing. Lopez, I just think, Steve Garcia is going to be able to hit him and not really get much of a reaction out of Diego Lopez. And I think it doesn't go the other way. I think if Lopez lands on Steve Garcia, he's going to hurt him. I think he's going to hurt him badly. We've seen Steve Garcia get dropped. We've seen Steve Garcia get flatlined. Diego Lopez is a hard guy to hurt, and he just hunts you the whole time. Diego Lopez is just going to stand there with his hands up, smiling at Steve Garcia, waiting for him to hit him, and just grinding his teeth out like fucking Chuck Liddell after an 8-ball. I think Lopez finds something early, puts him down, and Diego Lopez is a violent finisher. Once he has you hurt, he is going to land the craziest ground and pound. So I think he, lands something big on Steve Garcia, whether it be a hook or anything really. Diego Lopez has got heavy hands. So I think early first round, not early in the first round, maybe, later in the first round, but early in the fight, first round, he throws like a 3-punch combination and just drops him with the second or the third punch. So I'll be picking Diego Lopez by first round KO. And I think it'll be a real KO. I don't think it'll be like an argument as to whether he could have continued. Now, Bo Nickel versus Kyle Dock is a little drop off in the hype and a little bit more of a, why is this on the card type of fight. But Kyle Dock, he's a bigger guy. He's got some sneaky submissions. I don't think his striking's all that impressive. I think, Bo Nickel is beatable. He can win this fight. I don't think he will. I think Bo Nickel has improved since that RDR fight where, RDR kind of showed he's not the grittiest fighter. You can make him quit. You can make him give up. But he came back and that head kick knockout looked pretty good, looked decent on the feet. I don't think these guys are going to fight how they normally would. I don't think, they're willing to put a little grappling smudge fest on. I think it'll probably be standing up, throwing bombs, and I think Bo Nickel will probably catch Kyle. If you're getting mauled and like brutalized by Roman Dolidze, I don't think Roman Dolidze's that good of a fighter. I think Bo Nickel can do it too. Bo Nickel's pretty safe when it comes to the grappling, really good wrestler. So I don't think he really has to worry about the submissions of Kyle Dawkins, and I don't think he has to worry about the striking. So I'm going to be picking Bo Nickel by a second round TKO, I think. Ruffy versus Chandler. This is a really good fight. I think stylistically, good fight for Ruffy. I honestly, Chandler was supposed to fight with Conor McGregor, and I was going to pick Conor McGregor to beat Michael Chandler. So it would only make sense for me to pick Ruffy to win this fight against Chandler, coming off of that big win against Fiziev, where he landed that right hand. Started off a little slow, but he takes his time, counterpuncher, big counterpuncher. I think he's going to plant something big on Michael Chandler, big right hand, something similar. Fiziev and Michael Chandler are similarly built, shorter, stockier guys. But, Ruffy has been taken down and submitted by BSD, but the problem with that is Chandler doesn't submit people. He's got good takedowns, powerful. He's, very powerful guy, but I think if he does get Ruffy down, he doesn't do anything with it. Ruffy gets back up and finishes Michael Chandler. I think it's early, and I think it's a real knockout. I think he's going to hurt Chandler in this fight. I think it'll probably, it's so hard to pick Michael Chandler. He just got brutalized by Paddy Pimblett on the feet. If Paddy Pimblett's brutalizing you on the feet, Ruffy's, he's so much more dangerous on the feet. The power. Michael Chandler's last win is Tony Ferguson, I believe, and he got dropped in that fight against Tony Ferguson, who's on a losing streak. I don't know. I'm trying to think of, things to say about Michael Chandler, good things to say, but he beat Dan Hooker. I think, he's going to be swinging big with a right overhand, throwing the right overhand into that left hook, stepping in with that left hook. But I don't think Ruffy will be there to be hit. I think Ruffy's too good. I think he's too aware in the striking to get hit by something big like that. And I think he hurts him bad in the first round. I think it'll be a right hand. I think it'll be a similar finish as the Fizzy fight. Josh Hokit versus Derek Lewis. Now, if this was Derek Lewis a few years ago, I might be giving Derek Lewis more of a chance, but we've seen in that Waldo Cortez Acosta fight, Derek Lewis doesn't really have it anymore. He doesn't really have that fighting spirit anymore. He is dangerous. He's Derek Lewis. He's very dangerous still, hits really hard, and Hokit got hit a bunch by Curtis Blades. So, there is a possibility where he runs into, a big shot from Derek Lewis, big overhand or a left hook that, Lewis put Teixeira away with. I'm still going to be picking Hokit by a first round TKO. I don't think he has the power to put Derek Lewis away for real. I think Josh Hokit is too small to be at heavyweight. I think he's a fat middleweight, but that works in his favor too. We've seen the speed difference he has to these regular heavyweights, and he's got decent cardio. He put on that war with Curtis Blades. I don't think it'll be enough. What am I talking about? I don't think he has enough power to do that. I think he'll be more of like Lewis misses his big shots and then kind of just rolls over, and similar to the Waldo fight, I think he'll just kind of roll over and take his money and go home. I think it'll be probably first round. I don't see Derek Lewis gritting down into a second round. And I don't think Hokit's dumb enough to get hit with a big shot early. I don't think he's going to run into something like that. I think he'll implement his grappling maybe. Just kind of tire Derek Lewis. Sean O'Malley versus Amin Zahabi. I'm going to be picking Sean O'Malley to win this fight. Sean O'Malley is really good. I mean, what can you say? This guy's a really good striker. He can fight in both stances. Good shot selection. Good kicks, Amin Zahabi, kind of, one of those fighters where you're like, how does he win these fights? You keep on asking yourself, how does he win this fight? But, he gets hurt so often in these fights. And I think if you're getting hurt like that, when Sean O'Malley hurts you, which he will, I think he doesn't rush it. I think he takes his time and he puts him away for real. I just keep thinking of that Jose Aldo fight where Jose Aldo had Amin Zahabi hurt so bad, landed that knee into that head kick as he was getting up. I think Sean O'Malley will be able to finish him for real. I think, if there was a fighter, I've been saying this whole time that, it's such a significant moment and they're going to be fighting differently. They're going to be showing out. I think Amin Zahabi will throw that all away. And if he has to, and put on a stinky, boring wrestling 15-minute snooze fest. But I don't think he will. I think Sean O'Malley will be able to put him away pretty early. And yeah, put him away early with some nasty ground and pound. I think it'll be similar to the Aljamain fight where he hurts him, drops him, and finishes him. So I'll be picking Sean O'Malley by second round. Amin Zahabi's tough enough to make it out of the first round, I believe. And Sean O'Malley will kind of be finding his rhythm and finding his range. So I think it'll be second round. Alex Pereira versus Gane is probably the most competitive fight on this card. Alex Pereira is older and coming up to heavyweight, whereas Gane is younger and he's been fighting at heavyweight. He's very fast, can fight in both stances, which I think will be a problem for Pereira. I think we've seen how that when fighters fight in southpaw, that leg kick gets taken away. He can't land with the lead leg as hard as he can with his power leg. and it just doesn't have the same effect. So I think, Cyril Gane will be smart enough and fight in southpaw for a majority of this fight. But, I think if he does fight in southpaw and he's circling away from that left hook, it presents opportunities for Pereira to land with his right hand, which is what he took advantage of in the second fight with Magomed. He landed that right overhand, and I think he'll have to do the same. I think he'll have to use his right hand a little more often in this fight and land something big that way. But, this is a really good competitive fight. They're very different in their striking. Gane's a faster guy, good head movement, fighting both stances, whereas Pereira only fights in orthodox. He's a bit slower, but he's very accurate, big power, but he gets hit too much. I hate, it's part of his game, I know, but there's just times where he stands there and he kind of freezes up and his hands are fully extended and he gets hit with shots. I think of the first fight with Magomed when he landed that lead hook, and I worry a little bit when it comes to that, but I think Alex is good enough to be able to land a big shot and put him away later. I think Gane's too good for him to get an early finish. I think he'll be able to dance around a little bit and land some decent shots on Pereira. He's going to definitely land some good shots. That jab looked really good against Tom Aspinall. But I think, we've seen fights where Tai Tuivasa dropped Gane, or Volkov had a good performance and beat him. I think Volkov beat him in the second fight. I think everyone thinks that. So, if Volkov can do it, I think Alex Pereira is a better striker than Volkov, more dangerous striker for sure. And I think we'll see a later finish. I think we'll see probably around 4 TKO. I think Gane's got a really good chin, so I think it's hard to flatline him. But I think we'll see a 4th round finish from Alex Pereira, something along those lines. The final fight of the card is Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gaethje. And I think, not a competitive fight. I think we're going to go from the most competitive fight to probably the second least competitive fight after Rafi versus Chandler. I think Ilia Topuria is just too good. He's too good everywhere. He's better in the grappling, better in the striking. He takes shots better than Justin Gaethje does. Justin Gaethje's got a really good chin, but Topuria takes them and he's still there. He doesn't get wobbled. He's got his wits about him versus got Justin Gaethje. He kind of stumbles around, and I just think his striking, he leaves himself open too often. He overswings so often. In that Paddy Pimblett fight, we've seen Paddy Pimblett crack Gaethje so many times, and if Paddy Pimblett is finding success, Topuria is going to too, and when he lands, it is a completely different ballpark. He's going to put you to sleep, and I think it'll be early. I think it'll be a round 1 finish for Ilia Topuria. I think he lands that right hand. I think it's a similar finish to the Charles Oliveira fight. Gaethje might swing big with a left hook. He likes that uppercut left hook, which works against shorter fighters. It worked against Chandler, He landed that uppercut against Fiziev. So I think he'll leave himself open for something like that. And, even if worst comes to worst, Ilia Topuria is really struggling. He's got that grappling where, we've seen Gaethje get submitted by Charles Oliveira so quickly and easily. And I think Topuria is good enough to do it too. But if Justin Gaethje is going to win this fight, he's going to need to utilize that uppercut and that leg kick. That leg kick will be money, but Topuria's got a good leg kick too. It's not to the same level as Gaethje. Gaethje's got that, that dangerous leg kick where he winds up as hard as he can, but that also leaves him open. I don't see how Justin Gaethje wins this fight. I see a lot of people talk about that head kick Jai Herbert landed, but we saw Max Holloway try that. He was throwing up lead head kicks. They can land. It's just Topuria's got a good chin. He's sound defensively. I just don't see how Gaethje wins this fight. I think he'll be too close in boxing range for Gaethje to land a head kick, and I think he'll just catch him. I think it's just a matter of time, and Ilia Topuria will knock him out in the first round. These are my predictions for the UFC Freedom 250, and yeah, let me know if you guys think, if I had any crazy predictions or disagree with anything, let me know. And yeah, that's it. Subscribe.